good evening, and welcome everybody to another session of Orthodoxy Questions and Answers. And as you can see, this is not Presbytera. Okay, Dina.
Hello.
Hey, it's nice to have you here. You
Happy
probably
to be
saw
here.
Dina and I were doing the interview at the Greek Festival,
We
right?
were,
For
yes.
Channel
8, I think.
8.
Spectrum,
We don't want to get it
whatever.
wrong.
One of the channels.
We don't want to get that wrong.
Many channels visible.
But we got to talking, and Dina, found out about our show, and she was like, "Hey, I want to do that," and I'm like, and Dina was like, "Hey, let's do it." But the other reason too is Dina's one of the, and I know you guys don't have officers, but she's one of the senior leaders of
Ooh.
our new ENA group.
Yes,
so,
I am.
So tell them a little bit about ENA, because I think ENA's kind of a really fun thing that I wish I
Yeah.
had growing up.
It's a very cool thing. So basically, ENA, it's Ελληνική Νεολαία Association, so Greek Young Adult Association, for lack of a better translation. And a group of us just got to talking, and we're like, you know what? We're too old for Goya.
Right.
But we still all hang out. We still want to do stuff, still have our community and
Right.
get together and whatnot. So we started ENA. We try to do a couple charity-oriented events a year, a couple social
Social
events
events.
a year, just getting everybody together, bring the parea, the crew all together. And
Yeah.
it's been going really well.
And now is and again, I know that not all of our listeners are from the parish, but for those that are in the parish, is it open to anybody, or do you have to be Greek?
You
personas
don't-
latínicas,
Yeah, no, you don't have to be Greek. You don't have to speak Greek. It's open to everybody. A lot of what we do is focused on our, Greek culture, Greek traditions, things like that. But
Okay.
we love to share the love with everyone. So if you're looking for a good group of people to hang with that have fun and have an inkling for Greek culture and Greek life, more than welcome to join.
So in fact, are you guys going to do beer and hatchet? We have a place downtown that you drink beer and
Yes,
throw
the
hatchets.
axe throwing.
which is
So
beer
that's-
and axes. I mean, what could be a better combination?
What
right?
what could go wrong?
Nothing.
Nothing.
So-
No, but it's actually very fun. I've done it before.
So,
Get
so
my
they're just
bullseyes.
kind of fun things.
Fun
to-
events, yeah.
Great.
Just a great way to network, meet people, do fun stuff.
Right.
Love to see it.
So as you can see, the only problem that Dina has is Dina's just very shy, doesn't have a lot of energy.
shy.
So we're working on her.
We really
for that.
are. Just like a little quiet
So,
mouse.
Any announcements from our producer?
Yes. And before we start, welcome, Dina. And, good news and bad news. This is our last live show for the month until we come back. August 3rd. Father is going to return from Scotland.
Ooh.
Live show.
Yes, and I will return from an undisclosed location. But we do have a treat for viewers. Over the next 3 weeks, you still will be getting a taste of Orthodoxy Questions Answered. A lot of you submitted questions, and we've filmed 3 pre-recorded episodes. They'll be dropping on a regular time, Thursday night at 7 p.m. They're a bit shorter. They're about half an hour each, but we want to make sure that everybody got a good taste of OQA before we did our gallant return on the 3rd.
Right. But Dina's all in for our 4-hour marathon show that we're going to have tonight.
Yes. 10 hours, actually.
10,
No.
10 hours. It's a vigil.
It's
We're
a
doing-
yeah,
we're doing
literally
a
the
vigil.
whole night.
That's how long it'll take you to explain the Holy Trinity.
Yes.
That's why we're doing it, right?
Right.
Ooh, we're getting good questions coming in. All right.
So tonight we actually have some submitted questions that Dina procured from I believe Instagram.
Yes, I made a little post thing on Instagram, and I got a couple of good ones that we may or may not have done before, not sure, but the people were asking.
All right. We always
So
have,
I'm going to ask.
Absolutely. We've always got, we do get repeat questions, but we've always got new listeners.
Yes.
And they've never really heard the answers, so it's always good to do a little bit of a repeat.
Absolutely. And like I said in my post, seriously, please ask anything. I will repeat it. I am not embarrassed to ask any questions. I'm an open book, so whatever is on your mind, we're here to help and here to answer.
And one last thing, getting married.
I am
Here in our church.
here in our church.
September.
October
You're
15th.
October 15th.
It's okay.
All
No.
right.
Yes, very exciting.
Okay, that's
Congrats.
awesome. Very
Yes,
cool.
yes.
Very cool.
To a non-Greek Orthodox boy,
Mm-hmm.
but he's Italian. And we've had a couple of our classes, and Mike, my fiance, was never super religious person, but
Right.
felt super comfortable talking to you. So I want to thank you.
Yeah.
He said the same thing. He's
So
like,
he enjoyed the
he
premarital
loved
session.
the premarital sessions.
Good.
He felt really comfortable talking to you and really felt like he had this whole new understanding of Greek Orthodoxy, and he thought it was awesome.
That's what we want. That's what
Love
we
to hear
want.
it.
Awesome. Cool. Very cool.
All right, well, why don't we jump in a few of your submitted questions, and then we'll get to, and then we'll jump back and forth a little bit.
Sounds good.
So let's kick it off.
All right.
So one of the submitted questions from Instagram was what the Greek Orthodox Church's stance was on cremation, and the part 2 of that was on organ donation, which I think are cool, interesting topics.
Well, let's take the easy one. Right on the Greek Archdiocese website is a statement that says that you can donate your organs.
That's nice.
It's on my license. It's on Presbyteria's license.
Good,
So we are registered organ donors. So there's absolutely no problem with that, even to the point that you can donate your body to science.
Wow.
The church allows that. However, it can't be unending. So, like, let's say, God forbid, somebody that you know dies from something that they needed to do research on, you know, maybe Parkinson's or something like that, right? And they need to do a study. And so they ask, can the body be donated? And you say yes. They have to do their study, and then the body has to be returned, and then we'll conduct an Orthodox burial. So, it's, you know, I mean...
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, but you can't be like, you know, like the skeleton in the classroom or something like that. You can't do that. But that we've had that many times where they've needed to do an autopsy. They've taken a section of the brain, and then they give the body back, and then we do the funeral. That could take a year, 2 years. I mean, it can't take forever, okay? But yeah, it's all the way up to that.
Wow.
Yep.
I did not know that. And then
cremation,
part 2.
Yeah, cremation is a tougher one. So the short answer is
no. Right. I Googled that one before.
So the short answer, unfortunately, is well, I shouldn't say unfortunately, but for some, and we've got 3 basic reasons for that. Number 1, St. Paul's words: "Do you not know that your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit?" Meaning that your body was given to you by God, belongs to God, and we give it back to God. And that argument, which I love about Orthodoxy, that argument is going to take you all the way through drug abuse, suicide, abortion. All of those topics are tied into the ownership of who owns the body, okay? And I know in America our big thing is, you know, my body, my rights, and it's me. I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
And so that's the first one. The second one is there is no incidence in the Bible where burning is done in a respectful manner. Like the Native Americans, right? I think that they had the Vikings. Did it. I don't know if the Greeks did it. I don't know if the Greeks burned. I think the Greeks probably burned. But
like back then.
Back then.
Yeah.
So there are religions, mostly pagan religions, that burning is a honorable thing, but it's not in the Judeo-Christian right.
Got
it's not viewed that way. And then the third reason is that if you've ever witnessed a cremation, which unfortunately I've had the chance to do,
I have not.
it is a very, very gruesome process.
Really?
You know, because a lot of people think that, you know, the body goes in and poof, you know, it's all gone.
Right. I thought they just stick it in like the thing and then boop, close the door.
Close the door, and then everything kind of just like melts away. Bye. So what comes out is, you know, a lot of big bone pieces. And so they have something called a cremulator. And a cremulator is basically like a very, very big industrial-sized garbage disposal. And they put the bones in there, and they grind them up into the small pieces. So if you've ever had we had our pets that were cremated. And if you look at the cremains, is that a word?
It is now.
It is now.
The cremains?
The cremains.
It's a word
If
now.
you look at the cremains, you'll actually see like little pieces of bone in there. Oof. And that's actually what you'll see in a human being. So for the Orthodox, it's a very disrespectful process.
Gotcha.
So there's a practical reason, there's a biblical reason. don't bang. Biblical reason, and then there's the spiritual reason.
Gotcha. So, go right ahead. I was going to say, someone just commented on here, Love World Music said, talking about donating your body, I asked this to the church father back in 2005, and I was told no. I took it off my driver's license. Well, now you can put it back on if you are so inclined to do so. Because Father Angelo is an organ donor as well.
Now, okay, so the caveat here is I said Greek Archdiocese.
Right.
The Greek Orthodox
Right.
Archdiocese. So, and I haven't researched it, but it may not be allowed in the Russian Orthodox Church or the Romanian Orthodox Church. But in the Greek Orthodox Archdiocese, here you can donate your organs.
The way that I view it, and this was what one of my commenters on Instagram said, was it's a selfless thing. It's almost Christ-like, if you will. I don't know if that's correct. To sacrifice your body or your organs after you have passed away to help someone else. I think that's a nice thing.
Correct. Now, just an interesting commentary here because you said after you pass.
Yeah.
So
even if you're like, if you give a kidney or I don't know.
Well, and I'm gonna take the opposite now.
Okay.
The church does not demand that you are selfless to the point that you give an organ while you're living. Okay, so let's say you're in the situation where a relative wants a kidney, or well, I guess you can't give away a liver, but
if you could, right.
I mean, something else that you can still live with.
Right.
Okay, if they live an abusive lifestyle such that they will not honor the gift that you have given, the Orthodox Church will support your right to refuse.
Okay.
So if they say, "Oh, could you do that? You're in my own family, not giving me a kidney." Well, yeah, but you said I'm not going to stop drinking.
Right.
I'm not going to stop doing drugs. Okay, so you have a right to say no. That's not right. So here's a case where it seems like a selfish act that you don't want to take it, but the church respects your right to not give something that somebody will dishonor.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Real quick, we'll be right back in about 1 second.
Okay. Are we back?
And we're back.
We're back. Some little adjustments of our seats. Now you can see us.
So real quick, Diane had a follow-up question as well, in terms of science, learning your body is science, but you mentioned there has to be a return. What about cell cultures?
Oh, good one. Like stem cell research type stuff, or
for a couple of different reasons. There's one famous lady who from 100 years ago that her cell cultures are still used today, and that's the case for something very specific. I don't remember what it was. My wife is a genetical engineer, so she knows all this stuff. But what about that? I mean, that has the possibility of being ongoing.
Of being ongoing. So the only restriction there that I can think of offhand is the Orthodox Church will not accept aborted fetuses. So you can't use the stem cells from aborted fetuses because where you harvested that from is inappropriate for the Orthodox Church.
Gotcha.
Right.
That was actually another question.
Yeah, and that became a huge issue because back in the 70s they were doing that. They were using. They have since, my understanding. I mean, again, I'm not a medical science here guy, doctor, but my understanding was that back in the 70s they were using aborted fetuses to obtain stem cell. Mm-hmm. They have since ceased that practice, and now they are able to receive stem cells from more moral and ethical sources. But some of those fetuses, those aborted fetuses, some of those are still ongoing. So the church's question was, can I benefit from those? And the church's decision was that that is something that has already happened. We have since stopped the practice, but the church felt in mercy it would be unfair to now deny, let's say, a child the ability
Yeah.
to. Right.
That makes sense.
Just I wanted to point on that.
All right. Let's see here.
But good tough questions.
Here's another one. Nicholas says you can donate a portion of your liver because the liver regenerates. I didn't know that either.
I did not know. I did not know
Thank you,
that.
Nicholas. That is
Really
interesting.
Drink as much whiskey as you do. I know that.
Oh, geez, thanks, buddy.
Boom!
Yeah,
Zinger! No.
man. Where are the tire tracks
Wow!
on my shirt?
Father.
Oh,
It's all right.
Oh,
It's
man.
okay.
at least you're on my side.
I'm here.
All
I'm
right.
here. Speaking of, you mentioned aborted fetuses. That was actually another question that came through my Instagram. Wasn't from a Greek Orthodox person, just someone on Instagram asked what the Greek Orthodox Church's stance was on abortion, which I'm assuming, correct me if I'm wrong, is no.
Well, you're not assuming. You know the answer to the question.
Yes, it's no.
It's no.
Okay.
Interesting. Do you know what probably, if not the number one, certainly the number two question that I get in confession from older Greek Orthodox ladies, 80 and above. Do you know?
Probably that they've had abortions.
Exactly, and for the reasons that in the village it was a very difficult time, and if they had 2 or 3 kids and then how would they have another? It's a wartime situation.
Yeah.
You're eating weeds, right?
I get that.
Okay,
Yeah.
This was not just a whim decision,
I don't think it is for anybody. Yeah,
but
it's a hard thing.
But the reason I'm bringing that up is one of the reasons, the reality of why the Orthodox Church rejects that, because the pain that these women have been carrying for 60 some odd years is extremely destructive. It is a very, very, and again, I'm not even pretending to know.
Well, right, yeah.
Okay, but I can see the pain in their confession that this was a very difficult decision.
Yeah.
So from a church's perspective, there is no woman who will undergo an abortion and not have emotional trauma.
From the church's perspective. I just think that that it has to have some emotional trauma associated with that event. Okay, so there's a practical reason there. Again, I mentioned also about the body is the temple of the Holy Spirit. Okay, and then it's one of the commandments. Thou shalt not kill. Okay, and so the better translation of that is thou shalt not murder, because soldiers kill all the time. I mean, when we were in the military, not me personally, that was going to be my next question.
And so clearly there are soldiers who have gone to war historically in the Orthodox Church and certainly have killed people. So the better translation of that is thou shalt not willingly take a life which is declared murder.
Yeah.
Okay. So the infant is not a combatant, so they don't fall under that ruling. So the church sees it as the definition of murder. So I wanted to offer those 3 perspectives.
That's fair.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, having said all that, okay, the church recognizes the difficulty of life and of situations, okay?
Yes.
So if the woman comes and says, I've had an abortion, okay, the church is not going to say, well, then you're just going to hell. I mean, the church, the church has to respond, and the church responds as God would respond, which is infinite love and infinite mercy to the best of our abilities. So what we will never deny that it's not a sin. It is a sin. There's no doubt about that. But what we will say is we'll try to be as understanding as possible and look for the repentance in the action. All right. and try to bring her back into the church, to the extent that we can. If we have a woman who is contemplating that, it is the church's responsibility, squarely put on the priest, to do everything that he can to help her. Demos and I have had this conversation before. There are tons of pro-life people who say, I'll be with you there for the fight. Okay.
Right.
But then when the child is born,
to an extent, well,
and then they
exactly.
disappear.
That's kind of where I'm at. Right.
So
exactly.
So the church has to be there. If they're gonna say don't have an abortion, then they have to provide a support system to the woman. We can't just say you can't have an abortion. So now she's back in the same situation.
Right now
she's got all the
stuck.
kids.
Right.
But if the church comes and says, "Here, we will help you," and that's what we're supposed to do. So
I always viewed it as like a God gave us free will. Whether the free will is in agreement with what the church thinks or agreement with what the church doesn't. This is my personal belief, by the way. But it's more so a personal decision. And then again, I've never been in that situation, and knock on wood, I hope I'm never in that situation. But if I was, for the sake of the conversation, I would hope that it would be between God and myself to work that out amongst ourselves. If I choose to do that and whatever, and that is the decision I make, I decide to get an abortion, me personally, I guess my relationship with God, it would be me between God and myself and my family, myself and my doctor, rather than the entire Greek Orthodox Archdiocese as a whole.
No, but the priest is representing the church.
Gotcha.
So the priest has to do whatever he can to avoid that coming into being.
Gotcha.
Right. So the church would disagree with the statement that they would agree with the statement of free will. It is
right.
You have the total right to act on behalf of the free will that God has given you.
Yeah.
But number one, you have to accept the consequences of the decision, and then it is contingent upon the church to express why this is not the best decision.
Gotcha.
Right? Okay.
Yeah. Definitely a tough one.
Mm-hmm. No, but that's good discussion.
Diane L says it does not work that way. What does not work that way? I don't know if that was to me or to Father.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure Diane is a regular. She'll explain.
Okay.
But I think what she means is you can have just a personal conversation with God and make the decision that way. There's still going to be the element of, okay, you might feel good in your relationship with God, but this is still his statement is still thou shalt not kill.
Yeah.
So I can understand that a little bit of that.
Absolutely. I feel it's a very blurred line. I was very curious, and when someone else asked, I was like, "Oh, I'm going to ask Father. I'm curious to see what the thoughts are." And
just one thing to kind of put parentheses around this: the church also feels that in the especially in the instance of marriage, it is no longer just her body. She has become one flesh. So when she leaves the husband out of the decision, the church will absolutely reject that. That is not fair to the husband to say, for the wife to tell him, you can't be part of this decision. I decide whether or not we're going to have the kid. That in a marriage situation, you are one flesh. So the church cannot in any way support a woman who leaves her husband out of that decision.
Why don't we jump back into the top of our submitted questions?
Yeah.
Oh, we're going easy now? Is that
we're going easy.
No,
we're sweating. No.
No, these are good. We gotta talk about
I'm
this.
personally excited for Dostoevsky's question.
Okay, all right. What do we got?
All right, let me scooch you up to the top here. Oh, this is interesting. A little segue, my friends. A little segue. Was the Garden of Eden worldwide? If not, was there paradise across the rest of the globe? We're getting a book, ladies and gentlemen. We are getting a book.
We're getting a book. He knows that I do this.
Don't turn the show into any kind of alcoholic drinking game, because you're never going to survive.
This is water.
And so, okay, and he rested. Okay, and okay. So, chapter 2, verse 8. the Lord God planted a garden eastward in Eden, and he put the man he formed there. And then later on, so they identify a specific place. So they don't identify the whole world, okay? But now, if we go further, okay, when Cain kills Abel, he says, "Surely you have driven me out of this day from the face of the ground, and I shall be hidden from your face. And then it will happen that if anyone finds me, they will kill me." And the Lord God said no. All right. And so he speaks about an outside world, that there's something outside that is not the Garden of Eden.
That's right.
And then earlier, when he banishes Adam and Eve, right, the parents, he says, from now on, you will have to work the earth to get your fruit. So that clearly shows that was not Eden. So at least from what we have here, the Garden of Eden was not a worldwide.
So was it like it was its own place?
Yeah,
but
because
it was still on Earth.
Still on Earth.
But
yes,
just
yes.
its own area.
And now he does speak about creation of the seas and the land and all that, and that there was fruit. So somewhat confusion lies in the fact of, well, if he created the whole earth, okay, but then he made this little garden of paradise, okay, then what happened on the outside? Those need to be taken care of. So what's the question there, right? But at least the Garden of Eden occupied a certain portion of the earth, but the whole earth was then covered with life.
Do we? Oh, go ahead. I was going to say, do we know? Sorry if this is a dumb question. Do we know where that was?
There, it's like
is there like talk? I don't know if there's any mention of it.
It's like Raiders, they had to put it together,
I've seen many articles that say, "Oh, Eden was here.
It was here. It was there." It's kind of
So here, now a river went out of Eden to water the garden, and from it is separated into 4 heads. The name of the first is Pishon. It circles all the land of Halivah, where there is gold, and the gold of that land is good. And the name of the second river is Gihon. So if you could figure out where these places are, you can kind of figure that out. So they do give you like.
Left takes you to Eden. The right takes you to the Valley of the Crescent Moon.
The Valley of the Crescent Moon. That's I was trying to think of what that indie reference was.
That's what I was thinking. You were going for it.
All right, we have enough. That was.
That's Hamunaptra. That's where we got to go. Hamunaptra.
We have. Oh, here's a good one. This is from Nicholas. He says, "Can I, an adult, call in the altar to help the priest during services, or is there an age limit?"
No, 100%. I mean, we try to keep the younger age limit at about 8 because if they're younger
for like little altar boys,
because they just don't have the attention span for.
And you don't want like a little kid to drop a candle. That's not good.
But
for anyone.
In my first parish, my altar server was like 85.
That's so cute.
Yeah,
and I want to cry.
He did such a great job. No, there's no age limit. As long as you're able to function, right, and be an assistant to the priest, then you're good.
Is there? I've never seen, and I know that there's not typically women. Is that a Greek Orthodox thing, or is that in general that?
Yeah.
Or how does that work?
Well, they've heard me say this, but look, I grew up, with women don't even touch the gate. Let's go behind the gate, right? So anyway, two events changed my life on that. So I went to the ordination to one of my best friends in school, and it was in Denver, Colorado. And so we were all behind the altar there. And there was like 2 bishops back there, and Bishop Isaiah, who was the metropolitan, he was back there. Yep. And there's like 10 priests, and we're all vesting, everything like that. And this older lady, she just opens up the gate, walks in with the prosophoros, sits it down, starts carving it up and cutting it up.
Okay, sis.
And all of us froze. We're like,
oh my God.
And Bishop Isaiah looks over at us and goes, eh.
Cute.
So. And then the second one is when I was staying in Thessaloniki in Greece, I was kind of the bishop's driver for a little while over there at the Mani Vlatavon that was there, and he was taking me around. And you've seen it. A lot of those churches in Greece are very small. I mean, they're the size of our office here, right? Okay, and so there's not really a really well-defined iconostasi, and there was in some of the churches that I was there was a lady who was back there, and she was handing the censer to the priest and cutting up the bread.
Okay,
and like
so
that.
it's not like a cut and dry.
No,
absolutely not.
No, I think we've made more of it in America than really needs to be. But,
really,
I've,
very interesting.
But one thing that our bishop did say, which is really important, is we can't make change just to make change.
Just to do it.
That parish had a need because there wasn't a lot of people in the parish, so they understood, and the parish was fine with it. Nobody cared. But let's say for me to come here and then all of a sudden announce, we're having girls behind the altar.
Dina's behind the altar, ladies and gentlemen.
I have the responsibility to maintain good order in the parish.
Yeah.
And if that's going to cause controversy and it's going to cause problems, then that's not good change.
Right. You would hope it wouldn't, but also why stir the pot?
Yeah. I mean, I think we're coming there, just like the Catholic Church. I think we're getting there, but we're not quite there yet. So we can't be radical about these things.
That's very
interesting. I still like
interesting.
what you say when the people that you've encountered that give the biggest pushback to women behind the altar tended to be the older
priests.
women.
No, they're the ones who give the least pushback.
The least pushback. Okay, so I misunderstood what you said. Because that always struck me as strange.
The older ladies like it when it's their granddaughters. Then they like it.
Yes.
But I'm talking about like priests, like women priests, like becoming a woman priest.
No. You're right.
Yeah.
No, right.
Nobody's
really within the Orthodox Church. Nobody's really on board with that.
That's not a thing either. Yeah.
That's not gonna. We'll have altar girls before we have women priests. I'm telling you that right now.
It is interesting though, because a lot of my friends that ask me that are not Greek Orthodox or anything are like, oh, like your priest is married? And I'm like, yeah, we love Presbytera. Shout out Presbytera. Yeah. Hello, if you're watching.
She is watching, in fact. Yes.
Hi, Terry. But they were like, oh my goodness, I didn't even know that was allowed. And I was like, I didn't know the reason why, but I'm like, yes, our priests have to get married, I'm pretty sure, right?
No.
Oh, no.
They don't have to get married, but they can be married. We
What is it? Do you have to be married? If you're going to get married, you have to be married before you're ordained?
Exactly.
Got it. I knew it was something like that.
Exactly.
Got it.
Mm-hmm. But we have a number of celibate priests. But yeah, I mean, Jesus Christ himself blessed marriage at Cana, right? Yeah. So there's nothing wrong with marriage.
Right. Go marriage.
I'm
getting married. Alrighty, let's see here. We have a question from Sammy. Hi, Sammy.
Sam, how we doing?
He says, hi, Father and Dina.
He's got to be doing this from Greece.
I don't think they're in Greece yet. I was texting in our Enna group chat actually earlier. Some people are there, not everyone's there. I'm not going. Very sad. But Sammy says, what is the meaning behind the special hand symbol that the priest does when blessing the people?
Yeah. So what he's talking about is he's talking about this. Okay. So I know that they can't really see it, Okay,
looks like you have a problem though.
But yeah, it looks like a
hand cramp.
Hand cramp. But it is the symbols of Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ, Son of God. So Jesus Christos. So you see the X, right, that I make. Okay, and then here we have then the I. Jesus. So Jesus Christos Ios, right? So so Jesus Christ, Son of God. So it's just the.
That's fancy.
Mm-hmm. What's the origin?
Yeah, where does that come from?
It's 4th century, I believe. In fact, while we're reading the other question. It was in my catechism book.
Well, the reason I ask is it's kind of fascinating because when you look back at Judaism or Christianity or many other religions and groups, there are always these different hand signals. The most famous probably being from Judaism, the I'll put it there, the Spock.
Oh,
hand.
the right.
Oh, I was like, isn't that start?
It's
I'm
from, and
so
in fact,
sorry.
In fact, you can actually even see the outline for this symbol in the Torah itself.
Oh, how cool!
Yeah. Well, our Torah video is supposed to be coming out here pretty soon, right?
So my question is, what is the specific origin of these hand symbols? Is that to maintain a specific type of subtle communication? Did it come about via persecution? What's the idea?
The fish symbol, right?
Yeah.
The fish symbol, because ichthys is the
Like
ancient
the
Greek.
Jesus fish. They
The
have
Jesus
the bumper
fish.
stickers.
Right, the Jesus fish bumper sticker. So the ancient word for fish is not psari, but it's ichthys. And Ichthyopoli, which is a fish
Fishing
market,
town,
right?
fishing village.
That's where you see the original word, and those first letters were the abbreviation for Jesus Christ, Son of God. And so that's where the fish symbol. So that was because of persecution.
Yes.
But this one, by the time of the sign of the cross, it was already after Constantinople. I mean, King Constantine legalized Christianity. So we didn't have that issue. I'm just zooming up through here just to see.
Looking at your official resources.
I
My
love
official
the
resources?
Father with the iPad. You go, Father.
Well, yeah, hey.
Yes, I love it.
Well, in this parish, you better be technologically.
He's a tech savvy man.
So.
Which reminds me, what about technology in the church?
Can we use technology?
Hopefully, yes, because we are pretty good at it.
Well,
So
Father,
okay, so
we got it.
while I'm continuing here, all right. So go ahead. What's the next question?
can do
I'll
it.
find this as we go here.
Alrighty, let's see here. Scrolling away.
Oh, real quick.
Go for
we got a super chat from Diane.
Diane,
Love
thank you very
Diane.
much.
Thank
From
you.
Diane. But the question is from Ted. Actually, it's a statement. The hand symbols come from Roman oration for the crowd, so that people that could not hear also understood. So
Ancient sign language,
ancient
kind
sign
of.
language, but also before before we had microphones and so forth.
Yeah.
I mean, people in the very back couldn't understand, but they could see the
That is
symbols.
amazing. Wow. Thank you, Diane.
And that
How
actually
cool.
makes sense. That still survives to a degree. If you're in the back of the church and you can't hear what Father Maggos says when he comes out for the blessing, that's such a distinct such a distinct gesture.
Right.
You understand what's happening.
Right.
So spot on, I think.
Very cool. We also have another question here. Let's see here. That says, opening your third eye. What does that mean? Like the evil eye, things like that. Where's our stance? Where is the Greek Orthodox Church's stance on the third eye, the evil eye?
Well, is the third eye the evil eye? I think there's
Is that different?
Or
Are those two different things?
Well, yeah. What is the
the third eye? The in between it's Gosh, there are a couple different.
Is that like an Illuminati thing, or is it
yeah.
Isn't
the eye on like the dollar bill? There's like the triangle with the eye, the
all-seeing
all-seeing eye.
eye?
There are a lot of eyes.
So many eyes.
Yeah, and in fact,
And not all of them have dots.
if you look back at like Greek Orthodox churches built in the 20s,
Yeah.
if you look at the iconostasi, the all-seeing eye was right in the center of the iconostasi,
Really?
right above the gate. So there was because there was a connection, kind of a rough connection between Greek Orthodox men and Masonry. So
Like-
the Mason,
Masonry.
not the actual, but Masons.
Oh, like Freemasons.
Freemasons.
Oh,
Thank
I
you,
was
thank
like
you. like
Masonry?
Freemasons.
Okay.
And so they had placed that symbol up there, and the church has rejected. They've had an ongoing battle with Freemasonry because of its secretness, and Christianity is not supposed to be secret. So there's a whole thing with that.
Marie, I apologize if that was not your question.
So if it was
opening the third eye.
if we're talking about now the mati, as we would say.
Is
right?
it bad? I always wonder, is it bad that I have my mati on my cross chain?
Well, while you're looking up the mati real quick, I should point out that the third eye generally, people tend to view it as kind of like the mind's eye.
So in that case, right, like
in
the
Hinduism, I think it's the chakra.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so there's a little bit of mysticism involved in that.
So we try not to put superstition together with religion.
Sorry, Father. My
So
bad.
that's why I try to.
I will take it off.
I try to tell. I mean, like okay, I get it. As a necklace, it would be nice, but I try to tell people when they make the little bubonieres that they make for
for like the vaftisis
the
and stuff.
and all that. I try to tell them don't put the two together. Okay, because again, it sends a mixed message. One is Greek superstition, and the other one is actual faith, right? So we try not to mix those two. But as you can see in the Orthodox priest prayer book, there it is, right? The last prayer in the book is
prayer for deliverance from the evil eye. Yes,
right?
That's what I thought it was. It's like God's keeping away the bad vibes.
So rather than the amulet keeping away the bad vibes, it's God, right?
Gotcha.
We got a prayer for that.
So what would be the difference, sorry to kind of ramble here, but what would be the difference? So, like, obviously we have like icons. We're not worshiping the icon itself.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
If we have the evil eye, we're not being like, oh, this little cute little bead obviously isn't the one doing the work. Is that kind of same but different, or?
Yeah, I mean, as long as you're not using it as a belief system.
Gotcha.
Right. I mean, you're using it as a decorative piece of
to symbolize
of our Hellenistic culture and heritage.
Got it.
Right.
Cool.
But if you take it beyond that, then it's kind of funky territory.
Okay, cool. That makes sense. Awesome. Alrighty. Sammy said third eye be the
noose.
The noose,
yes,
not for so we don't get our video taken down. Noose as in the Greek word, not like the rope.
Right, yeah. N-O-U-S. So
YouTube.
So yes, now in books like the way of
the
Way of the Pilgrim, that's my thing. Everybody's got a thing I do. Okay, like in books like The Way of the Pilgrim, they talk about the eye of the heart. So they don't literally mean that the heart's got an eye, but what they say is that you can't be Christian just in your mind. So God is not a thing to be observed. Like, let's study God. I'm not going to partake in God, but we're going to study God. Okay? And that
so like theology, but if you're not
philosophy.
Philosophy.
So where the Holy Fathers had an issue with the Greeks was they appreciated their use of theology to help them explain difficult metaphysical concepts. The problem that the Holy Fathers had was that the Greeks were trying to understand God through only the nous, okay, and what the third eye indicates, what the Way of the Pilgrim is that you have to see and understand God through the eye of the heart, meaning that you have to participate
with your heart.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Got it. That makes sense.
So thanks, Sam, for kind of clarifying that.
Yeah.
We went from Vascanio all the way to...
Speaking of Sammy, another question. Can you comment on why people cling to God when times are hard, but when times are easy, they push him to the wayside? That's not very nice.
I mean, I pretty much, that's human nature. We can translate good times as slumber. That's how Jesus would translate that. You who are
you're
slumbering,
like in bliss. You're
bliss,
like,
you
right.
don't, and because the problem is that you are only, then you're glorifying yourself, because as long as I'm in bliss, then everything is good.
Right.
But you have been called by Christ and the disciples to look outside yourself. There's always suffering, and there's always something that you should be doing. Okay, but when we tend to get comfortable in our own, and this unfortunately is one of the issues that we as the the Greek Orthodox Archdiocese has is for such a long time we have really kind of been insular. We look to
Right.
ourselves. I mean, I never grew up in my Greek Orthodox church caring about what happened to non-Orthodox. I mean, if it was a fundraiser, it was to help the Greeks. If it was if it was or to help somebody in Greece,
Right.
or somebody was had their house lost in Greece.
fair,
okay,
yeah.
but the guy who was actually homeless in our hometown, that's not our.
Right.
That's somebody else. The Catholic
Someone
charities,
else's
they
issue.
do that.
Right.
Okay, so we've been very insular. What I'm seeing now, which is very, very good with the younger priests, is that they're starting to think outside.
Of people as a whole.
Yes, right. And geez, the question. Because
People push God away.
Oh, yeah.
When
right.
everything's good,
Yeah.
but when things are bad, they're like, "Oh my God, help me!" Right.
And you'll hear that a lot of times, in the hospital. Here's a restaurant owner who's been just doing, great guns. Everything has been really great. Okay, and he is wealthy beyond imagination. Okay, but then somebody in the family gets sick. And now he turns to me and says, "Father, why did God do this to me?" Well, what about all the blessings that you had?
Yeah.
That you have, right?
Definitely something that I think is hard, and I think people in general, it's hard because you want to wonder, like, why would God do this to me? Why would these bad things happen? Like, you see kids getting sick, you see, good people, bad things happening to good people. That's the phrase. And I think it's easy to get wrapped up in being like, "Oh my God, why is this happening to me?" Which, of course, not to denote anyone's traumas or any bad things that happen. God knows I've gone through stuff too, but I think it's also, like you said, it's important to be grateful for what we do have and to see all of the other good things. Sure, there was bad things that happened, but there's also
been a
good
huge
things
amount
in
of
your
blessings
life.
that we've had. Yep.
It's and obviously easier said than done.
It is, but we
that's
just
why
have
we're
to strive
lucky that we
to
can
recognize
talk
it.
to you about it or anyone else. Yeah. Alrighty, so scrolling back up, I saw another comment earlier. Can you find it?
Yeah,
I am
got
missing
it
the
here.
comment.
It's
Apologies.
From, no worries. It's from Adonis. You. Should a woman or a doctor go to jail if an abortion is performed? And they just want to have the church's stance on this, not the political stance.
Well, it's should the doctor go to jail? Okay, so I don't think that the church is going to take that type of legal ground. Okay, the most that we can do, the most that we should do, is we should certainly argue on moral grounds. Okay, and do the most that we can to educate the women who are going through the abortion, to let them know that there is a choice for life. So the church should be concentrating more on the women who are having the abortions and leave the doctors to the legal side. That's the legal arm to take care of that. We need to focus on those women because that's the person who's going to need the mercy. And once you dry up the source, right? Yeah. Then the other stuff dries up. The supply. Once the supply dries up, right? Then then the supplier dries up.
Yeah. That's interesting. Again, I mean, it's interesting to hear other perspectives because I personally, I'm a pro-choice, I'm this, I'm that, but I also have my relationship with God. I feel like I'm involved in this and that in the church. But it's always interesting to hear, the reasoning and what the Greek Orthodox Church thinks about certain things. I think it's important. It's important dialogue.
It is.
Absolutely.
It's 100% important. And again,
no one has to agree on everything.
Right. And just remember that with free will comes consequences.
Right. Absolutely. All right, let's see some. Oh, I'm not seeing any. Did I miss any other questions in here? I actually did have another one that came in through Instagram, kind of on the hot topic radar, church-wise, does the Greek Orthodox Church support gay marriage?
So the answer to that is no. Right. And keep going.
What is the rationale behind that? Was the question that came through.
Because the church the church understands marriage in a sacramental manner. Okay, so there is no. It is not a legal. It's not a governmental responsibility. This is why we don't recognize it. So if you get married, by the justice of the peace, you do that for legal reasons. We don't care. We don't recognize it. Okay, we recognize that the definition of marriage for the church is the sacramental union of what God has created, and that is a man and a woman. Okay, so that's how we define. So we feel that the term marriage has been appropriated by someone and has changed the definition. Okay, now so there's other things that you can call it, and the church is again not going to deny your free will to have a same-sex union. Okay, but marriage was never marriage was always a religious term, not a secular term. So not a legal term. Okay, it has, and certainly we don't see it in any shape or form a legal obligation or a legal contract. And the reason I say that is because this is why the church doesn't want to hear your what do you call that when you get married? Your vows. Yeah. Right? We don't want to hear your vows.
I didn't know that either.
Right. Because we don't care. Because this is not a contract that you're entering into. So from the church's perspective, you should have already made your vows to one another before you saw us. And all we are doing is sacramentally blessing the union that God has established.
Now, contrary to that question, if there was, let's say there's a gay couple and they're, great people, very active in the church, love God, this and that, are, stand-up Orthodox Christians,
sure,
even compared to some straight folk, I guess you could say.
Absolutely.
What is that? Like, how is that? Where is the line of, like, we accept people to come to our church, but we won't marry you? I guess that's what.
Okay, you're still a member. You're still a member of the church. You're still a member of our community, and we are required. It is our obligation, responsibility to treat you with the same love and respect that we would treat every other member of the church. Okay, but we are not. We cannot recognize the appropriate use of the sacramental term of marriage. But in every other respect, you're a member of the community entitled to the love and respect of who you are. That you are the image and likeness of God, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
I find it hypocritical just because it's like, hey, we love you and accept you in any way except for this.
Yeah,
but that's, for the sake of conversation, right?
Well, but then we find it hypocritical on the other side. Because why are you allowed to reinterpret a sacramental definition?
Gotcha.
Invent your own term. We don't care.
Gotcha.
Invent your own term. But why are you allowed to appropriate something that we have established and given a definition for? You can't change that, right? So you're right. I mean, if you're going to talk about hypocrisy, you got to talk about it from both sides.
Yeah.
Right.
No, that's fair. That is fair. We have another. Oh, Diane says, is pro-choice compatible with orthodoxy?
Well, does pro-choice mean that I am allowed to have an abortion?
Yes.
Yes, like pro-choice is like
right. So the answer right. So the right. So the answer again is no, because the church is going to argue from the standpoint of why do you have the right to decide another person's life? Right?
Yes.
So we ask the question, is the human being, and again, the church has church has no timeline. I know that scientifically, that 12 week or 2 months a week.
So the church is like no timeline.
There's no timeline.
No timeline.
The minute that the egg is
fertilized.
I was going to say spermated, but that's not a word either.
Ew, Father! No!
Fertilized.
Oh my gosh!
I guess that's not a term.
But I will add it to our new dictionary.
Never heard that term before.
I hope to never hear that term.
You're going to have a nice long talk with Presbyterian when you get home.
But from the moment that the egg is fertilized, all right, we consider that life. All right. Okay. If we take that forward, and the child now has developed to the point that everybody would consider it a living being, then the church's position is murdering that child. How is that different from you deciding that I don't want to have my 12-year-old daughter anymore, so I'm going to kill her? What's the difference? We can't understand that difference, right?
The church, yes.
Right. Okay.
Got it. Makes church sense, yes. Okay.
I mean, we have to decide.
Yeah,
Is it if it is a living being, does it have the right to life? Does it have rights? And the church's position is it has rights. Yeah. Okay.
Well, here's a question, because we always talk about the separation of church and state.
Yeah.
Right? So, but we all know that,
now that's an American concept.
Very much so an American concept.
I'm not going to be presumptuous enough to talk about this.
Right. It's not an Orthodox idea.
Yeah. But we do have this idea here in America of separation of church and state. That's fine and dandy, but, there's always going to be, actors that seek to influence politics, etc. So, given where our stances are, does the Greek Orthodox Church take any political stances to try to influence decisions?
Oh, interesting.
To my knowledge, no. The Orthodox Church, its tendency is to practice silent witness, meaning that we feel that our best mechanism is personal witness.
Yeah.
So rather than stand up, in front of television or on a street corner and say, "This is horrible and bad,"
that I agree with.
Our stance is more one-on-one.
Yeah.
Talk to you personally,
that's
who
nice.
is facing that decision, rather because we think that that's a personal interaction like that is much more effective.
That's kind of how I feel too. Is more so of like, I'm not going to judge other people. I cannot judge anybody. I'm not God. I'm not the decision maker. I'm not this. I'm not that. All I know is me, my decisions, what other people do and their decisions. I will sit and I will think about it, but I'm not going to express. Is
right.
Kind of my vibe.
But the church cannot have that position.
But the church has to have an outward position.
Because do you really want a priest who is going to let anybody do whatever they want and have no judgment at all? Nobody wants that. Everybody says, I don't want to judge, but then that's not the person they want.
I like that, even though I might not agree with it, I like that it's an opposite stance, but the church is still providing like help and resources, and that's like the number one thing. I think that's super nice. Regardless of what your stance is, it's nice to know that there's somebody there, I guess, is the takeaway.
100%. Whatever the decision is, the church, like in imitation of Jesus, will always be there.
Yeah, that's very nice.
Right, you can't ever have anything other than the church will always be there.
Yeah. Awesome. And there was one final Instagram question, and I'm like sweating thinking about asking and saying this.
Do I have to invent a new term now?
Please don't invent another term. Sex before marriage. Oh, I'm cringing. I'm sorry, Father.
Interesting.
Interesting.
That's actually one of our pre-recorded questions.
So you're going to hear this all over again.
I'll try to take a different angle.
A different angle?
Well, give the answer, but give a different example.
Well, okay, so...
you'll love the pre-recorded, but we have diagrams, we go through all details.
Oh, man.
All right, so this is where another hypocrisy question, right?
Yes.
Okay. And I will take both of my parishes, my previous parish, and I will take this parish, okay? And when I look at all of the premaritals that I have done, and I kind of make it a requirement, as you well know, that premarital is a requirement. Okay.
Premarital what? Classes. I was like, what?
Yes. No.
What?
No. Premarital classes are a requirement.
I think there's a line out the door. You want to convert?
Okay.
Premarital classes. Yes.
Right. Okay. The vast majority and I'm talking 99%, have already been living together for a number of years. The average being 5 years. Okay. Now, there is no way I can say that they're not having sex. Right? I mean,
Plead the fifth, but yes, okay.
There's no way that I can say that. So the church's stance is okay. You shouldn't have you should not have premarital sex. The problem with that is going to be okay. So if now you are having premarital sex, all right. So what do I say to you? Okay. So I can say stop having sex. I can say that, right? And you'll say, yes, Father, we will stop having sex. Okay. So that's pretty useless. All right.
Okay.
The other thing that I can say is because you are in violation of the akrivia of the church, you are no longer allowed to participate sacramentally in the church. You can't have communion. You can't be a godparent. You can't be a kubara. Okay, so you can't be part of that sacramental life. Then you will turn to me and say, okay, then I don't want anybody who is divorced, who has not gone through spiritual growth, I don't want them to have it.
You'd have no
anybody
people.
who got involved or had their loved one cremated, I don't want them to have communion. We're going to open up this huge Pandora's box, all right?
And then
And we're not even talking about rape or anything else.
No. We're
just like consensual.
We're talking about.
I'm being specific so people know.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
All right. So there is a reality, okay, that there is premarital sex happening. Okay. Now, the church in no way will condone premarital sex of minors. Okay,
No.
we will not condone that at all. That is no way within church policy. Okay, but as adults,
Consenting adults.
Okay, the church recognizes that. Okay, this is something that is occurring. So what the church now needs to know, along similar to Judaic lines, is what is the reason for that? Is there an end goal here? Okay, so yes, it happens out of love for one another. So yes, we are submitting to our passions, but we are looking towards matrimony. We are committed to one another. We're not sleeping around. We are committed to one another. Okay, so in that sense, the church says, okay, we can't say, well, we support that, go out and do it, but we can understand that it's being done in the context of how it was originally created, that it was between a man and a woman. Okay, and we understand, and the economia is that it's happening before the actual wedding date itself. All right, so that's why I'm saying it's a tricky area, because we can't come out and say, don't have sex. All right,
Right.
Okay, and expect a real answer. What I have done is a truthful answer.
Right.
What I have done is I've told the couple that prior, let's say a week or so prior to the marriage, I think that it's best, as St. Paul says, that they separate for that time, that they devote that time to really thinking about what they're doing and let that sacramentality weigh in. Okay, so that you're not doing the jiggy all the way up until the last day, right?
Oh, no.
Okay?
Yes.
All right.
Father. Thank you.
So-
that was I like your little terms,
Right?
too.
You see?
They're good
Okay.
ones.
All right. That is an actual term, though. I did not invent that. All right. But I think that period of separation, as St. Paul says, is good.
Yeah.
Right?
No,
okay?
I do.
To kind of work, kind of think about that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Right.
And that's why I'm going to be very religious and use that separation as a time to do a bachelor party.
Yes.
Timo.
Yeah,
To do a
very
bachelor.
religious.
Oh, we have another question from Diane. Thank you, Diane. How long would you deny someone communion for aborting her child?
Was it just her or the father
Well,
too?
What? So that's. I mean,
We
I
deny
can't-
people communion? I didn't know that.
Oh yeah. I mean, that can be. I've done that before. That's
didn't know
part of a penance that a priest can.
I am
that is the
learning.
usual penance, is not not in a reward and punishment sense, but in a reflective sense. Okay, St. Paul says, those who drink unworthily from the cup do it to their damnation. Okay, so we believe, as the Orthodox, that communion is essential for salvation. Okay, this is not a Protestant belief,
Right.
but it is an Orthodox belief that this is essential salvation. And it is so important and vital that it must be taken seriously. So if and there's been times where I felt that the person has not thought through their repentance. And so it's
Is
not
this
appropriate.
in like confession?
Yeah, and they'll tell me in confession, right?
Okay.
Okay, and then I'll say, look, this is something that you really need to work through. So I'm asking that you don't come to the cup until you can work this through. I'll give you an example. A son blames the father for something that happened, and says in confession, "I hate my father. I can't believe that he did this. I hate my father." He should not be coming to the cup. That will be to his damnation. I need
Really?
him to work out his issues, okay? And then we'll talk and we'll go through and there'll maybe there's counseling. But he'll come to a point and he'll say, you know what, I don't like what he did, but I don't hate my dad. But, I don't forgive him for what he did, but I don't hate my dad. And now he's ready to return to the cup. It's the same thing that it might be the same thing for abortion, okay? That she may not be ready yet for that, but maybe she is. But the priest has to make that determination.
Would it be the same non-punishment, punishment, I don't know the right word,
Therapy.
for the guy too, for the man in this situation with abortion? Like if it's a couple and they like willingly were like, boop, and did that.
Yes, then it would be.
It would be
this-
equal
right.
punishment.
Now, if she didn't involve him, then no, he's not.
Right, but if it's
Yes.
any parties that involve.
Right.
Well, at least it's equal.
Yeah, it's absolutely. It's, because contrary to what popular belief is, the Greek Orthodox faith is a faith of equality. It is.
I like that.
It is never. It is never one where the man is higher than the woman, nor is the woman higher than the man. And our symbolism for that is that Genesis is very clear that woman was taken from his side, which means that she was equal to him, right?
Yes.
Not at his head where she's above, and not at his feet
Side
that
by
he's below.
side.
Side by side, right?
All right, let's jump back in. Pet Rock has a intriguing question. If you don't see, I can ask.
I'm gonna butcher these words, so I'm gonna give it to you.
I was really
Dimos.
hoping. All right, Pet Rock Concert asks: is it an Orthodox belief that Melchizedek, Enoch, and Adam are pre-incarnations of Christ?
You did. You said those well.
Um,
I'm gonna divert to Father.
So no, we don't, because he says you are a priest in the order of Melchizedek. So no, we do not think that is Christ. And what was the other two? Abraham?
Enoch and Adam as pre-incarnations of Christ.
No.
Yeah.
No, because we refer to Jesus Christ as the new Adam. So he is not Adam. He is the new Adam.
Yeah, on top of that, I mean, it's this entire idea. I mean, obviously Christ is in a separate category, but God knowing, giving each and every one of us a unique and
a soul and
so
body.
if Adam is a pre-incarnation of Christ and Enoch and Melchizedek, then you can even make the argument that they're just reincarnations of each other, and that completely destroys everything we believe in.
Correct. Or Sabellianism, which is Jesus is wearing the mask of these people.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So no, absolutely not.
All right.
But good question though, right?
I think it was a good question. Yeah.
Awesome. I'm trying to scroll through here and see. Oh, here's one.
Because I know, see, that's for the anybody that's new on the show. That's always the tough part, is figuring out how to scroll through that.
I know we're a little over, but is that okay?
No, 8:30.
Oh, 8:30. Oh, we're not over at all. Never mind, friends. We are good to go. Okay, here's one. Green or red? This is from Tara's. Green or red vestments for exaltation of the cross. That's question number one. What do you wear?
Blood of the cross, we wear red.
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 I like the red. It's nice.
Red is very nice.
Sharp color.
The blue is nice too. I got a nice blue. I
I'm
got a
telling
nice
you,
blue.
the Greek Orthodox priests have great outfits,
Oh,
and
vestments.
Excuse me, bad term. I'm so bad. I'm so sorry. I didn't realize that there were different meanings behind each one's, and until recently when I found that out, and I just think that's so interesting. Do you have any could you give us like a quick little breakdown on what colors mean what?
Oh, okay. So white is typically for any sacrament, baptism, wedding, and funeral.
You're gonna wear white for my wedding?
Yeah.
Can't wear white to a wedding,
okay.
but I'll allow it. No,
That's right. I can't.
only Father can.
No, well, it's after Labor Day, so it's good.
Okay, so it's fair. All right, we're fair.
It's
Good,
after
good.
I
Labor
thought
Day.
you shouldn't wear white after Labor Day.
Oh, is that? Oh, I thought it was the reverse.
We're
See, what do I-
making
Okay.
our fashion rules, okay, for my wedding.
Okay, gold is just the default. You know, if there's not a feast day, it's gold. Green, Palm Sunday, and anything having to do with the Holy Spirit.
Cool.
Blue is anything having to do with the Panagia, with the Theotokos. Red is for the blood of the martyrs. And it can be for Christmas. And like we said, for Holy Cross.
What about the all black? Sometimes I see priests in the all black.
So that would typically be for Holy Friday. Like some priests will wear it for all of Holy Week.
Gotcha.
But typically that darkest period.
Yeah.
Right?
And we do have a
Very
video
interesting.
Explaining all that as well.
Yeah.
Greek Orthodoxy 101 on this channel.
Awesome.
Right.
That's very cool. And then part 2 of Tara's question is there a prayer to ensure an airplane is fixed on time? In parentheses, hi, Father Angelo.
Is there a prayer to make sure the plane departs on time?
It says, is fixed on time.
Is Terrace Buttry another fellow pilot of yours?
Could be,
Yeah.
could be, because we just, we just went flying yesterday, and we had an issue with the airplane, and so nothing.
What happened?
Oh no, it was a commo radio.
You fly planes?
You know
This is just an all-inclusive man, ladies and gentlemen.
You did-
5 stars for Father Angelo.
No, okay, I thought you knew that. All right.
You didn't.
No.
I can't wait to tell Mike. He's going to be like, he's so cool.
So
Awesome. Let's see. Scrolling through.
that's my major
Why you
stress reliever.
While you're looking, Daily
Flying.
Exotics has a statement saying that they used to attend St. Nicholas in Jamestown, New York,
Oh wow.
as a
Okay.
kid, and that the Metropolitan gave the Presbytera
Ooh,
a blessing to be able to go back to the altar because it's a small parish.
that is so cool.
You've been to Jamestown, so
No, I have not been to
been, but you know the priest.
I know the priest. I know the priest. And in fact, he did the same thing. The bishop did the same thing for me at my first parish in Kalamazoo. It was a very small parish, and we didn't have any altar boys, and so I had discretion. They didn't go behind the altar, but they kind of were in the front pew, and then I just had the crosses for them there. And so I've done that before.
So tell me, like we've had this issue at on some Sundays where it just happens to be one of those Sundays that's lightly attended, usually a July service or whatever, and you don't have any help up there. You don't have a deacon. You don't have any altar boys. So if there are men or women in the parish for the service, shouldn't it be like their duty to come up and offer help to go back?
Yeah, but it's not something that I can do without just on my own. It's not my decision. Okay.
Gotcha.
So I have, and this parish is way too large to
is a bit
claim
large
that I
parish.
don't have help. Okay, getting them to show up.
That's one thing.
That's another
That's
thing.
a whole other
but
thing,
there
right.
is.
I'm just thinking, like, if there are people sitting in the parish that can see that you're struggling for help, should they feel the?
No,
can they just get up and say, "Father, you need some help"?
Yeah, in fact,
Me rushing the altar. No.
no. I mean, and certainly there are in this parish there are enough men who I encourage strongly. Don't just sit there. You see them struggling. Come up and give me a hand. And I've had a couple of older men who have come up and like George George A. Right.
That's my Theo Yorgo. He's the cutest. Shout
Yes.
out Theo Yorgo if you're
Yes.
watching.
Yeah. So he's always like the first one there. If he sees, he goes, "Hey, Father."
He's the sweetest. Great guy.
We got
We
a super chat from Diane, and I think the comment above you should enjoy.
Oh, Diane, thank you so much. She says, Dina, you are doing an amazing and awesome job. Next year at the Greek Festival, you should do a church tour. I would love to do a church tour next year. I love the Greek Fest, and I was a tour guide at my college, so
all
I
right.
could totally do a church tour.
Well,
You
good.
got to brush me up on all the good facts to say.
So
but
good. We've
I
already
would
got.
love to do it.
We've already got 2 people. We got Karina and Lauren
Love them.
who got trained up. We've got another lady, Katie. So I'm going to add you to the list.
Add me
and
to
we're
the
gonna do
list,
shifts.
Father. We're
All right.
doing it. Woo!
I don't,
Thanks,
I
Diane.
don't understand the comments from Diane Nordo and Squawk 7600. I have no idea what this is.
Squawk 7600
Oh,
is planes. And
I was like, am I squawking? What is happening? No.
yeah.
You're doing
Squawk,
a great job, Dina. Squawk. I mean, that doesn't sound good.
yeah. Squawk 7600 is the can't communicate.
Ah. That makes sense in a strange way. Real quick, I'm going to jump back up because
ahead.
Soterius, our own Sammy, has a question.
Sammy!
Father, have you ever seen a splinter or a piece from the Thimios Stavro, the cross that Jesus was crucified on?
Oh.
And I'm going to add to this. When I was going to Greece, almost every single church claimed to have a splinter.
Everybody has.
Of the cross,
yeah.
of the wooden cross. So
Yeah, I've heard that claim.
Yeah.
I saw it when I went to Mount Athos. So I
It's
did.
an actual. It is there.
Yeah, I
the one in
did.
Mount Athos is
Right.
legit.
Yeah, I mean it's a bigger, it's more than a splinter. I mean, you're right. Most churches they have a small splinter of the cross, but this was an actual, part of a.
I hate to ask, but how do we know?
Ooh.
Because the Catholics keep good records. The Romans were all about records.
There we go.
Most of the time, the reason we know it is because the Romans have kept good records.
Shout out Catholics.
Yeah, there you go. That's right.
I went to the Vatican, fun fact, on
Oh,
a
yeah.
school trip. I was inside. I saw the Sistine Chapel,
Yeah.
all of that stuff. It was
It's-
very cool.
I mean, it's very beautiful, right?
beautiful.
Right.
Very pretty.
And I went to the Vatican on one of the videos.
Really?
Yes.
No, he so
Oh, did he put it in the background on like a
put it- he-
like
Exactly.
a green screen?
he green screened me into the Vatican.
I would have believed it.
And then the next Sunday at church, a couple of the Greek ladies who are very sophisticated
Oh,
and
yes.
know how to watch videos. they
yes,
say,
our ladies. Hello.
Σασίδα εκεί, στο Βατατική, εσύ πήγες εκεί, μια εβδομάδα και ήσουν εκεί. I mean, you went to the Vatican in 1 week, and I said yes,
Yep,
yes I did.
I was
And
there.
they says, δεν μπορώ να το πιστεύω, εσύ πήγες εκεί και γυρίσεις τόσο γρήγορα.
The green screen's tricky,
Well,
man.
It wasn't just. I mean, he was standing on the balcony with 1,000 people roaring in favor. So that was something. Yeah, you just went, got the ovation, and you just.
Yeah, that's right, exactly. So,
We have another question that came through from Pet Rock Concert that says, is the Earth thousands, millions, or billions years old?
I see what Petrock is trying to do.
Thousands, millions, or billions.
okay, so the Orthodox Church does not support the 6,000.
I've heard everything between 6 and 10,000 years old.
so whatever.
The Earth itself?
The
Yeah.
creationists.
Oh,
Creationists,
okay.
Okay, so no, the church does not support that. They do support the science that that when God created, okay, they are taking literally the verse from Psalms and I think in one of St. Paul's where it says, "To God a day is like 1,000 years." So you multiply that out and you get 6,000 or 10,000 years.
That's
Okay,
some math.
but it's poetry. It's
Yes.
just I mean. When we say, τα μάτια σας 10, we don't literally mean you have 10 eyes, right? You got to understand it in
Right.
a context, okay?
Right.
So that's the same thing. The Orthodox understand that that's poetry. It means that, to God a day is like nothing, all right?
Right.
That's what he means. So we can support the science that the Earth is much older than that, and we can understand the science of carbon dating and all that, and we get it that carbon dating is not exact, but it's much more exact than just 10,000 years.
Gotcha.
Yeah, at the same time, though, at the end of the day, the important function of the Bible is the salvific nature of the Bible.
It's not exactly right.
So
Right.
if the Earth is 6 days or 6 million, who cares?
It doesn't matter. Right.
Do you understand? I mean,
Yeah.
even between the difference between millions and billions. I mean, imagine the fact that how many movies have shown a T-Rex having a fight with a Stegosaurus? They're farther apart than we are from the dinosaurs. It's insane.
Oh, yeah,
The
that's
concept of time is.
Diane says, Man's time and God's time are not one and the same.
There we go.
Celsius versus Fahrenheit.
Which is
different.
which is why we have the two words. We have ora and keros, right? Keros is God's time, right? Because where ora is more specific, right? Yeah.
Makes sense.
And when it gets colder, it gets more accurate.
Oh, this is honestly along the same lines as my own question. So did God invent the other planets too? I don't know if this is too or was there
Okay,
I'm very curious. And why was he just like, boop, we're putting humans on Earth
This is a topic
instead of a different one? I don't know.
We've explored this quite a bit. And
okay, really? Okay, I was like, is this a weird question?
Take off. I love this topic.
Okay, so.
Oh, good. Yay.
So if you read that, it says what?
In the beginning, God.
Okay. That's not what it says in Hebrew. What it says in Hebrew is, in beginning, God made heaven and earth. So the way that the Orthodox understand that is this is potentially one of his creations. In beginning
of this creation, he did heaven and earth.
Right. And on this, he placed Adam, a humanoid being, in his image and likeness. Okay. The Bible does not need, or God does not need to reveal everything that he's done.
All right, because he's
to
God.
Us, right? He's God. Right. Okay, and as Demos rightly said, this book is for the planet Earth salvation.
Gotcha.
And whatever
could be totally different.
Could be totally different
elsewhere.
Elsewhere. So we absolutely believe that whatever is visible is His creation.
Huh. That's cool.
And invisible, gravity.
And invisible. That's right.
The more you know. That's very interesting. So like. Again, not to get too nerdy and whatever here, but like aliens, people are like, "Oh my goodness, there's aliens,"
and that would be, that's one of our videos. But for the Orthodox, we're not saying absolutely there's aliens. We're not saying that there's not. We're saying that God in his unchangeable and infinite nature can have creaed other beings. Right?
He was doing his business. We don't know it, and it's not our business. Yeah.
We don't know it. Right.
Huh. Very interesting. Let's see here. Demos, do you see any other questions that I missed?
I want to back up to this Jonah question.
Okay.
Latrice asked. Jonah went to Nineveh to warn them of their impending destruction. They repented, and God spared them. What are some examples, if at a smaller scale, where the church has seen repentance by the people or parish, and they were saved because of their repentance?
Well, the first one that I can think of is the small paraklesis service. The small paraklesis service was written because God intervened when the first time the city was going to be besieged. The city of Constantinople was going to be besieged, and the Ottomans or the Persians, trying to think, they were coming in on ships, and they were going to land, and they were going to overthrow. They were going to overthrow Constantinople. I mean, it was a massive flotilla of ships.
Flotilla?
Flotilla? No.
We are just doing the vocab today, my friends.
What is it? Flotilla is a word, isn't it?
Is it? I've never heard of it.
No, look it
is.
Flotilla.
No, you're in the military.
Okay, flotilla.
I am going to look it up.
I trust.
And the patriarch and the people prayed to the Panagia. Not prayed to the Panagia, but they asked for her intercession.
Right.
They asked for her intercession to save the city. And a strong wind blew the ships away. Okay, so there's an instance where the city of Constantinople was saved through the intercessory prayers of the people and of the Panagia, but actually God. I mean, God is the one who did it.
Right.
I'm adding flotilla to my lexicon. I thought you were trying to say fleet, but the literal definition of flotilla is fleet.
Fleet. Okay, so there's a word. You looked it up, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Diane says flotilla is correct as well.
Okay, all right.
I commend you. Although I don't know why I'm being Mary Magdalene. What is this?
Mary Magdalene.
Yeah, well, I see
the comment. I don't know
Mary Magdalene, and I'm confused.
in what context, but speaking of Mary Magdalene, what is Miss Mary Magdalene's deal here? Who was she? Because people have the theories, and it's Jesus's girlfriend, and it's this and it's that. But who was she to Jesus, according to the Greek Orthodox?
Well, she
Church?
was. They actually made Mary Magdalene equal to the apostles.
Go, Mary.
I mean that's. I mean, you can't get a higher title
Right.
than that. Okay. The church does not believe that she was a prostitute. They believe that
Happy
she
to
was
hear that.
Mary of Magdalene, which was an area that might have been known for sexual promiscuity, but that doesn't necessarily mean her. So, like for example, we know of Mary of Egypt, and we know that she had a promiscuous background, right? But we feel that her name has been besmirched. That's another word too.
That's a good word.
It's a good word.
Besmirched.
As far as the whole last temptation of Christ and all of that,
Was that like...
so the Orthodox Church believes that what St. Paul said, Jesus Christ, was human like us in every way except sin.
Oh.
So there is absolutely no way that we can reject the fact that he could have had an attraction
any
for
like
her.
sexual desires
Right,
or anything like that.
And that he could have, right? Okay.
Yeah.
But and the way that it was explained to me at seminary, which I like, is he's a man on a mission. Okay. So if
but not that kind of mission.
Not that kind of mission. So in a very human way, Mike.
Mike.
Okay. So, so if you're at home and you're on a Zoom conference, right?
Okay.
Or you're better yet,
Like,
you are
where's
preparing.
this going?
You're preparing for a Zoom conference, right?
Yes.
You're doing all your work. You got your books and everything like that.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, Mike comes up and says, "Hey, snuggle time." You're like, "No, it's not."
Am I though? No.
I mean,
To your
if you
point,
don't-
sure. Yes, I am saying no
right.
snuggle time.
I mean, look, I've got the meeting coming up in an hour. It's going to be an hour.
Right,
After
okay,
that,
yes,
we'll be
yes,
fine.
yes.
But I am zeroed in and focused on this
Yes.
right now. Okay. So now, just the way you explain it is take that, 10 times or 1,000,000 times for Christ.
Yeah.
Is that he was not here to have a sexual relationship or even to get married.
Like care
He was-
about any of
Yeah,
that.
he was
right.
not here to get married. But we cannot reject the fact that Jesus Christ, as a fully man, if we're going to say he's fully man, okay, that he had those feelings, right? Are we going to say that sexual attraction is a sin? Is that what we're going to say now? No.
But it's
No.
an essential part of life. So
Yeah.
if he didn't have that experience, you're 100% right. That wouldn't be truly man. He would.
Right. Okay. But he was not here to get married or anything like that.
And Diane comes in with another super chat saying Jesus was the perfect man.
See, because we know other than Jesus, that doesn't exist, right?
That,
There's
yeah.
Right. There can be the perfect woman, right? But there cannot be the perfect man.
Can't be the
Yes,
perfect
and
man.
the correct answer is your wife.
Oh!
Yes.
Good
That
one.
is the correct answer. The
You can
perfect.
pass that on to your family.
That's how Mikey. Yeah, absolutely.
But that does. I don't want to. We're past the 90-minute mark, but I do want to ask one question because Mary came up. But what is the Orthodox stance on kind of, to use your word, the besmirching of Mary Magdalene? Not just her, but other biblical female.
Yes.
Look at Eve. I mean, entire depending on the denomination you go to and the concept of original.
they were
sin.
like, Eve's the worst.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, okay. I mean, there's no. I mean, with Eve, there's no doubting. There's no doubting that through the sin of pride, she disobeyed God. Okay, because she listened to Satan. Who said, no, this is not what's going to happen. So in her mind, she says, now I can become God. because I can make this decision for myself. So she was in the wrong. There's clearly...
My point is she wasn't the only one. And depending
Yeah.
on the denomination, I went to, and I'm not going to name names, but as a kid, I went to one school where they said that Eve pretty much brought a dark cloud on women, and that men and women, up until Mary redeemed women, that they had to have relations with completely covered in cloth, like all these like very extreme things. I'm going extreme so I can pull back from it. Mm-hmm. But to use as an example, so now we have Eve. Now we have what is, if the Orthodox consider Mary Magdalene to be equal to the apostles, how do we stand by and let her be besmirched? I mean, that's
what I'm saying. We don't. And again, we don't really have, documented evidence of who she was before.
Yeah.
Okay. But what we're saying is that there might have been some confusion about her name being the town that she was from, which had a reputation.
Yeah, I
okay?
feel, based to your question, like I feel in the Bible we had plenty of men doing some pretty messed up stuff. We're Cain and Abel. We had like brother killing a brother. We're like killing a bunch of people. All of that.
Were flawed. Especially in the Old Testament.
And
David has up and down. Solomon, all of them.
Good question of what you said. It was like why kind of.
But
what was it? Besmirch? What's the word?
Besmirched.
Besmirching the women. But that's
but the Old Testament does have. We have seen significant examples of powerful women who have redeemed themselves. Right.
Well, we don't talk about that as often. I mean,
I agree.
We have and we still need to make a video on this. But Deborah. And
who's Deborah?
Her entire story, are you kidding me? We were trying to find a way to incorporate this into virtual Sunday school.
Google Deborah.
Because her story is a little violent, actually.
Gospel women. Oh!
Yeah.
See?
Yes! Father with the books again!
See, so women of the gospel.
It's a little bit of a misconception that there are no important women in the Old New Testament, and
they're very, very important.
Let's talk about them more. Woo!
Because
I agree.
We need to talk about everyone.
I agree because segue back to what we said: men and women, boop from the side, equal.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Wow, full circle.
You want to jump for the last question by Happy Tales?
Sure, Happy Tales said, do other religions view Jesus in the same light? Quote unquote, a perfect man, and do other faiths have saints similar to the Greek church besides the Catholic faith?
So the concept of saints is not outside the Christian expression.
But all Christianity is like saints are a thing.
Jews wouldn't use the term saints.
Got it.
Muslims would not use the term saints.
Got it.
They would use the term prophets.
Okay.
But they would not use the term saints.
So saints equals a Christianity thing.
Is a Christianity thing. But there was something else in there.
And then do other religions view Jesus in the same light as like being a perfect man?
So they will only attest to his humanity. They will not attest to his divinity. So we are the only religious expression, Christianity, that sees him as having the two personhoods of divinity and humanity.
Gotcha.
The others will see him. I don't even think they would even go to the point. Judaism and the Muslim faith, Islam, would not go to the point of saying the perfect man. They would say that he was the greatest among the prophets.
Yeah.
And I think that probably leave it at that.
All
cool.
right. Well,
yay!
That brings us to an end. And
good job.
No, this is a great, Dina. Thank you very, very much.
Of course, thanks for having me. Thank you, everybody, for watching and asking great questions.
It was kind of nice to top off the pre-summer with a more of a conversational piece,
I love it.
It gives us a lot of ideas to move forward.
Well, you really pulled out the toughies today. Oh,
listen, it wasn't just me. I had the anonymous Instagrams too. Sorry, I know.
But these are the things that we need to be doing. I mean,
because it's awkward, but it shouldn't be. Just ask it.
You gotta ask it.
You gotta know.
If you want to know the history of the Orthodox Church, there are a gazillion channels where you can do that.
Right.
Okay, but if we're going to be be active and present in America, then, we got to be able to answer the hard questions. But at the same time, we got to answer them truthfully within the church. We can't just kowtow.
Kowtow, yes.
We just can't kowtow to whatever anybody wants to believe. We are considered the anchor of truth and faith.
Yeah.
So let's be that anchor and let's say what it is that we believe.
We got a last minute $50 super chat from Diane.
Good Lord.
Love Diane.
Wow.
That Demos, this is not correct. Rebecca, Sarah, Miriam, Leah, Rachel. I don't know what.
Oh, because they're not talking about prominent women in the Bible enough. There are some prominent ones for sure.
Yeah, no, I didn't go through a whole list.
Yeah. There are some prominent ones.
But she's offering a couple of
She's
more
like, here
names.
they are.
Absolutely, right.
Those are good ones.
We've done videos on Sarah, Leah, and Rachel, but
which one was the convert? The first convert to the Judaism? Ruth was the first convert.
We dedicated a whole episode to that because of that. Whenever we come across a story, and mind you, when one of the challenging part about some of the female stories from the Bible is finding a way to present them to children through the virtual Sunday school, because they tend to go into a little certain direction. So
I love Sunday school.
But we never shy away from that. We still did the Ten Commandments. We found a way to explain adultery to 3-year-olds. So I'm happy about that.
Yeah. There we go. All right.
But this is
strangest sentence I've said in a long time.
Right.
Back that up.
This has been awesome, though. I think it's great. It's important to have these conversations, and
Can we have you back?
Yeah, of course I'll be. Father, I will do
right.
whatever. I will be here. But it's nice, even to hear maybe some of my personal beliefs didn't align 100%, but it's very interesting to hear the rationale, the reasoning, and I have respect for it.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we don't ask you to agree, but
I love
we
that.
do need to say more than just
even as
belief.
an institution, that's very nice.
Yep.
Yeah,
Good.
absolutely.
All right.
Cool.
So once again, we're off the next 3 weeks, but we'll still be here because not only do we have special pre-recorded sessions of Orthodoxy Question and Answered coming out every Thursday. They're half-hour episodes, but we will be back August 3rd with our regular live format. Also, if you watch our services or Sunday services, we also have special pre-recorded versions of those coming out the next 3 weeks with newly recorded Gospels, epistles, and sermons. So keep an eye out for those. Those will be beginning at 10 a.m. Eastern as opposed to our normal 9 a.m. And we'll be back, I believe, on the 30th with our first live stream service as well.
Awesome.
And now we've given you a whole new reason to stay tuned to our show to see what new words Father Angelo is going to invent.
Yeah, that should be a new segment,
that's right.
truthfully.
And when you retire, we're going to sell the dictionary.
I love
the new dictionary
it.
The new
Father Angelo's annotated dictionary.
love
dictionary
it.
of new terms. That's
Yes,
right.
there we go.
Like, follow, subscribe, comment, share, do all of the things. Father Angelo is awesome. Demos is awesome.
And Dina is awesome.
I'm not going to toot my own horn, but thank you, Father. But seriously, it's awesome. Thank you guys for joining tonight. It was a pleasure. I hope to be back.
Okay, we'll see you all back. And again, have a great summer. We'll see you here in a couple of weeks.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.